Didn't know we had an issue, especially with the name. It's a super aggressive track, but whenever I was making the beat, it didn't really feel super aggressive. But at the same time, you know, that's just what an artist can do to your record. You know, they can take your vision and go all the way over here with it. You had no clue, but you know, a little something for the homies that been subtweeting you on Twitter. You know, all of that. So you know, it's a real cool little track that I really appreciate.
Got that pep in my steps, so you better come correct. Boy, you bound to get left, I won't miss you. Niggas come, niggas go, then they see you on the road. They was once the little bros, now they dish you. You got charged to the game, swipe your card, don't want change. They gon' gamble with your name and bet against you. Even
J08s, my first name starts with a J, and 808, so kind of like a play on words right there. This is the first song that I've ever had on like, you know, all platforms. You know, I had a great video behind it. I produce on Machine, but I first started out on FL Studio, you know, like everybody else does and shit. So yeah, Machine and damn, my bad. I wasn't even supposed to look behind me. One of my favorite producers, Ricky Riera out of THC, he had posted this song on his Instagram story, and it was just a real cool song. I had liked the vibe of it, and you know, when somebody like that puts a song like that on Instagram, you kind of want to check it out to see what it is. You know, why not? Here's the sample. You know, nothing too crazy, but you know, something to get it going. And once you put the drums on it, they turn up real good. So I usually start all my drums with the hi-hats and then the snares, and then I usually fill out the rhythm with the kick, and I just go from there. Nothing too you know, complicated about it. Just don't try to overthink everything, you know. So my good friend and also another producer, Potillo, Brian, if you know him. He has this drum kit that he was selling a while back, and I decided to, you know, tap into that and see what was in there. And it's actually some really great drums, and it was just a kick snare, or the kick snare and hi-hat, and that was it. And I did the hi-hats to where it kind of sounded like a clock was ticking, so it kind of made it sound like, you know, you was in a rush. It's like a real fast click or clock tick. So I'm not gonna give y'all nothing too crazy, but it's just something to, you know, get your textures a little bit better when you making music. So with my hi-hats, I didn't have them all at the same velocity, as you can see. They go up and down to where like that's where the TikTok sound comes from, and I use that in a lot of my beats. So that's a little J08s sauce, you feel me? So I usually start from there with my drums, and then I'll go to the snare. You know, nothing too crazy behind it. Make sure I quantize them with this type of song. So yeah, the hi-hats and the snares, you know, just real straightforward. And then came in with the kick. Drums, I'll tell you this, drums and a hard bass line will catch somebody every time, every single time. With the bass, you always have to come with something new and refreshing, and the bass line always gets people in their heart, so, you know, you just hit them where it's supposed to hit. Especially on the intro part. So actually, that intro, it was actually thought of by the rapper, Coach Tev. He had an idea with that bass line right here. Since it was a little bit different from the one that goes on throughout the song, it's a little more edgy, rather. So he liked that, put that in front. And then there's this other little part on the first the first 4 of the second verse, it's a little eerie kind of sound, or melody rather. It kind of reminded me of like a police siren that was like off some acid type shit, you know. So I kind of wanted to add that in there to give it a little more edge for the anticipation of the next verse or whatever.
We was not a real team, baby. Do not call him, call him.
And after that, they go right back into the beat. On the first beat of the verse, I didn't want the kick to come right in on the first, hit. I wanted to give it like a kind of like, like a cool little like false step type thing going on. So I hit it with this. You can kind of hear how that hi-hat come in before that first kick. And so, yeah, it's a cool little something, so it don't just hit on that first hit every time. So it don't feel real repetitive. And instead of that other bass sound, bass guitar sound for the bass, I had put an 808 for the verse, just to, get it, bumping in the car, with your homies doing your thing. You feel me? About 5 sounds in there. That's it. As long as you know how to get the groove going with the drums, literally almost anything could sound good. As long as the drums sound dope.
If I won't miss